I don't know if I have to worry about that or be happy because I have 0 viewers right now. And I don't know if people are ever gonna watch this, but in truth, I am only streaming for my own self benefit so I can be consistent with myself. Anyways, the goal of the stream for me to talk to myself and study, and then I can use the same knowledge to make the next video, which about chemistry. I don't know what topic I can discuss and help people with using chemistry and physics. But on a personal note, I am studying the elements. Now, what is element? I don't know, but I'm gonna read this book and find out. If anyone is watching this, you need to wait, man. I'm studying. Hmm. So I'm reading this book with this index. What's wrong with my brush tool? It broke. Brush tool. This is not the time to joke around. Brush tool became pencil. What? Okay. Introduction. Classical metals, antique metals, alchemical elements. What is exactly element? I love this question. New metals, chemistry, golden age, electrical discoveries, and periodic table, radiant age, and nuclear age. This book seems pretty big, and I don't think I would be able to read everything at once today. How much I can cover using my aphoretic style. And this stream will probably have 0 viewers since start to finish. I don't really care. I'm just studying by myself. Okay. First introduction. Read this page. Why do we have red? Intro. So, sorry, I can't show you the book because I would get copyright strike. So I'm just gonna show my summaries. Every substance we see is comprised of atoms. Wow, I love atoms. There are varieties of atoms called chemical elements, and they help massively in tasks of simplifying our understanding of the world around us. Ooh, atoms equals to chemical. Use. Yeah, that's good to know. There are more than 300,000 known varieties of species, and probably more of beetles alone. Wow, but too many beetles. Elements like carbon and oxygen, but cadmium, praseodymium, even pronouncing the names, some of these elements can be challenging. I agree. This is where history will help. Oh, history. From 1730, a surprising steady rate of one by one elements were discovered every 2 years. Where is my reading app? Where is my timer actually? Where is my timer? A 50-minute timer it is. Studying continues. Oh, new information. It was hazardous business. Scientists and technologists might find previously unknown elements in obscure minerals, thereby splitting sunlight into spectrums, or seek a tiltable gap where new elements have stripped a color from it, or liquefying in distilling air to find tiny quantities of gas. Some elements are profoundly useful in drugs or medical fields. or for making new materials stronger, harder, and shinier and better conduits of electricity. Some are bright colors, some are valuable dyes, some are energy, some are nutrients. I see. There are just way too many things known as elements. The company is right word to use. That's true. Practically speaking, mining and discovery both, no, not mining. Mining and manufacturing bring discovery to this world because we have more efficient technological advancements. We need more efficient, harder metals and other types of elements. So chemistry and physics are valuable topics in life. It requires determination, imagination, and ambition. Do I have these? Probably not. Imagination, 10 out of 10 though. So what is this? Chemical magic. Finally, I'm gonna update my evolutionary, very life-changing thing. What is this? Practical chemistry and cabinets. Produced by Kingsley London. History of Science Museum. Alright, I'm done with the introduction. And now it's bombarding me with the most life-changing thing called the periodic table. Alright, now what do I do with this monster here? Hey, we have alkaline metals, earth alkaline metals, transition metals, post-transition metals, and metalloids. I have no idea what these means, but I hopefully in the next few chapters I'll understand. Atomic number, which is this. We need dramatic color red. The brush size, atomic number. That is opacity. I don't know my own software. This is small. Atomic number, atomic symbol, and atomic weight. What is weight? Oh, this is weight. Oh, hydrogen is 1.008 atomic weight. Okay. The phase of standard temperature and pressure, solid, liquid, or gas. That is valuable lesson. Well, if were to memorize this entire thing, it would take me an entire day. That's why the book has a second page for a more painful experience in life. Hey, now we have these names. I don't. Just to be frank, I've never studied science. That's a joke. Not chemistry. This is a self study. Oh wow, in the opposite spectrum, we have helium. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Goes serially like this. These are super heavy and these are lightweight, I believe. There are 102 atom, 102 elements. Periodic table. This thing is dramatic. Must make a wall to protect it. Now, what do I put in this wall? See the book. Oh, chapter 1, classical elements. Now, classical. Page 12. Oh, wow. We have a brief history of everything pretty much. We're starting with Plato. Yes. Timaeus is composed of four elementary constituents: earth, air, fire, water. The whole available amount of which is used up to composition. So everything we see around us is these four elements: earth, air, fire, water. According to Plato in 360 BC, formulated in the 5th century BC by Empedocles, a philosopher. He died he died leaping into a volcano of Mount Etna. So much potential, bro died jumping into volcano. Okay. So in history, the first things we were taught were fire, earth. No, let's go serially. Why is this thing red? Earth, fire, water, air. Oh yeah, Plato's source, trust me. Greek alphabet. Why is there history of first Olympic Games took place in 1776? A little fun fact. Then we have Pythagoras. Then we have more. Okay, give him that part. Fabrics. So many people argue there can't be four elements. Plato must have done something wrong. Some are solid, some are fluid, and some are airy. Properties. Okay. Some are soft, some are sticky, like mud. Some are tough and palpable, like wood. Color, taste, smells. Colors, for example, were superficial and could change. Earthiness. Copper and iron can be melted into flowing form, liquid state. So elements weren't just account for what are the unchangeable static facts. Chemical transformation accounts for transition of states, which makes gas into liquid solid, changing color, changing shape, everything and beyond. Okay. Small family of fundamental particles of atoms. Why small family? Because atoms are small, so small family. Profound logic. We have a quest to break down complex things into simpler objects. Many of discoveries have come not because of scientists, artisans, and technologies were looking for them, but because we were trying to make something useful. Chemistry is always the art of making, and we make things because we appreciate them. Oh, wow. Next, I found these life changing facts. The four classical elements by Plato from Greek language were terra, earth, aqua, water, air, and fire. Let me steal the image real quick. Oh my god, why am I in page 20 suddenly? This is some hardcore thing. Plato must be a great artist at this point. Alright, now what is this? I have no idea, man. I have no idea, but I can see earth. I can see ignea, meaning fire. Aquas, meaning water. Aqua, yes. So fire. Air should be nearby, but I don't know where air is. Right, we need another good image for style purposes. But next we have pro proti hi. What is this word? Never heard of it in my entire life. Protomatter. Protohyle refers to concept of protomatter in ancient Greek philosophy, particularly works of Aristotle, described as fundamental undifferential matter. Interesting, interesting facts. The top 10 fun facts. Let's name this topic proteal. Most of early philosophers believed that essence of all things could be reduced to material principle. I love old early philosophers. They are right. It sounds like a quotation from a history book, which I completely agree. That from which all things come to be the original state of their generation. That is what they hold to be elements and principles of things. Now, what this guy means is I don't even know, but we all are quiet because we didn't understand. He, w- he went on, while the states of the substance can change, the substance itself remains. So Aristotle is making the claim the substance remains the same, but the state can change. That is true. Even if we turn coal into water, it's still coal water. There is only one primordial substance. Our universe began with the Big Bang. Tiny packets of energy, small bubble of space all time. All the distinctions we see today between atoms and different elements, between fundamental particles within atoms and forces through which heal another must be erased if we remind to those first instances of creation. Proto exotic and unimaginable as that the creator and the Greek philosophers did not doubt there must have been some cosmic creator. Wow, In a chemistry book, I'm reading about history. I love chemistry. Milesian or Ionian school, which flourished in 7th century. Allius or Miletius was one of the students. He called it Aperon, the Unlimited. Hmm. He, though he might as well label it "Don't Ask" because we don't know. Oh, because it's imagined to be invisible, infinite, and eternal and unchangeable. Elements such as earth, fire, water, and air come from Aperon by an eternal movement. Let me just log this for style purposes. Presentiment of the way modern physics leave the profusion of particles and the way forces see around us. United and differentiated by the elements are both united and differentiated by their properties. Was popular with many thinkers after Alexandria. Mm. Uh, okay. Next up, I'm gonna go to the next page. Oh wow, we're starting with the most beloved element of life, water. I love water. We all drink water. Actually, I'm gonna drink water right. Hmm. This thing actually, guys. Why can't I type? I wanna edit this. This software kind of sucks. All right, goes by this guy. What? Why? Why is it blue? What happened? Why is it blue? Eh, I copied it from Google. Oh my god, the software sucks. Let me type it myself. Life, if only if I can move this. Thank you, bro. Now, now this description is the perfect one. We have a description of what is happening here. Okay, so we have wind attacking this man. Man is blowing wind. Wind turns into fire. Around him is water. They're on land. That's pretty much proto matter, constantly changing and arising. All right, basic gist. Now we go to next concept. Water. I'll even make the color blue for dramatic effect. Okay, what do I need to learn about water now? They all believe that the substance which all others come from is water. That's most likely unlikely. Hey, some of you might have never seen water. Let me find water. What are these pictures of water? I just need a glass, bro. What is this? I searched for glass of water. It gave me orange juice. Oh my god. Why is okay? I'm never searching in Microsoft Edge. Worst mistakes of my life. Oh my god. So what a profound image of knowledge. What a profound image of knowledge. Truly life changing. Can I rotate it? Yes, the software is the best. Alright, let me continue reading. Water is a kind of sediment. Not only are such tiny particles almost always present in river water, but solid crust of salt remains when seawater evaporates. Well, back then they weren't really scientists who'd carefully observe the data and test them experimentally to see if they stand up. They just thought, ooh, philosophically it sounds perfect, so I believe it. An attempt to explain many observed facts with a single underlying concept. As we saw from the example of Anaximander, Thales' belief that water is the primordial element wasn't shared even by some of his followers. Others, however, embraced the idea. Well, basically, what basically? I'm just reading about the first concepts of chemistry from history. Why is there? Well, okay, this was the first concept from the first page. Now we have a new hero, Val Halman, who was carrying out an experiment to prove that everything in the world, even fire, had water inside of it. So let's believe him and let's read. You take a pot filled with earth, planted some herb seeds in it, and watered them daily. Before long, you'd have some fine plants. But from where had they got their substance? Not from earth, of which there would be as much as you started with. No, all you added was water. So surely that must be what the herbs were made from. Oh, I see what his this experiment was. By weighting the soil at the outers and by the end. Wow, this man is determined. He did it for 5 years. He covered the pot, the metal lid, pierced holes to let air in and out, but keep dust out, and by the end, 164 pounds of wood rose from that water. Plants build their fabric from carbon dioxide gas captured from the air in a process powered by the energy of sunlight. Moisture is essential, but not the only ingredient. Clever chemistry involves in photosynthesis was grasped in the 20th century. So will advise humble in giving the due appreciation to the efforts of ancient philosophers to understand what the elements were. Cat, first experiment of water, growing a plant. Yes, I'm not joking. Growing a plant. Our hero. In reality, is photosynthesis. Hey, this guy is pretty cool. Right, so we have this guy doing water experiments. Everyone loves water. You know what's better than water? Air. Why am I moving that thing? Now we don't know air's colors, so I will just use white. What can I study? Anaximander had a protege named Anaximenes. He too had other ideas about the nature of protohide, the primordial element. It was not water. Oh my god, this guy onto something? No, it is air. Whoa. Structure emerged from primordial chaos. And what is less ordered and more chaotic than swirling, restless air? The very word gas, for which air is the familiar archetype, just as water is the archetype of liquid, is derived from chaos. Yeah, mind blowing fact. through what we today call condensation, in which gas, here air, collapses to a dense substance, is the experiment he tried to prove by. Okay. First, he said air becomes water, and then as density increases, earth and stone. This happens through a loss of heat, or as philosophers might have said then, by the action of cold. Conversely, air can undergo rarefaction, becoming even more tenacious. By raising temperature, it becomes fire. Air was the stuff of the being. Oh, what a rational man. Ep- Empedocles is attributed in the 5th century with the realization that air really does consist of stuff. What the Greeks called a clepsydra, cle- clepsydra, or a water clock. There are several different types of water clock. Measure time. Experiments seem to have involved blocking the outlet of clepsydra with a finger so that water can't fill it completely when it is immersed. Due to the air bubble trapped inside, when the finger is removed, the air bubbles out and the vessel sinks completely. So the air can't just be nothing since it has to get out of the vessel before water can. So, so to prove air is something, nothing, they experimented by putting some air inside a. It's like a water bottle with air inside, and you make a small hole and submerge underwater. Remove the hole, slowly it will fill, but the air inside will be trapped. They use that experiment to prove air is a substance. Can't be nothing because it has to be something to be forcing water to make change. Most experiments in ancient times, this was more of a demonstration. In any case, very likely that it never happened at all. Which explains the bubbles emerging from the submerged container. Life changing. Now, what is this? Oh, wow, the four elements. Quickly text. I do not need. All right, now what is this? Greek language, of course, fire, water, Air, man blowing air, and land, terra. Ignis, aqua. I have no idea what this were. Finally, we have fire. What the hell are these fire? Life changing. What do I mean finally? We just did two elements. We need few more. Okay, so fire, so we'll use the color red because red means intimidating. We know they use the example because earth is solid, water is liquid, and air is gas. Where does fire sit? The odd one. Today we know fire is not a substance, but a process. What is a result when combustion substances burn, such as burning wood. Fire is composed of tiny soot particles so hot they glow like filaments of a light bulb. They condense from a gaseous mixture of many different chemical substances, mostly carbon based molecules broke up into small fragments or even solitary atoms. The edges of a flame marks the place where the temperature falls too low to soot particles emitting light. So the truth is, fire, which says flame, is extremely complicated. And now chemistry solved is not complete. Not hard to say why philosophers special in about fire. It's the source of light and heat, which is valuable to humans back then. So Hegdel's idea was that fire had two vital physical world aspects. Yeah, he thought fire is just light. Smart guy. Oh, seems like I was lagging a bit earlier due to my Wi-Fi dying. We're back now. Practical arts of chemistry were born of fire. There's some interesting art that can get me destroyed. Destroyed by being blocked. I'll just keep this simple thing, the depiction of fire. Finally, we have Earth. green color because green means right, earth. Xenophon of Corpon, who lived during the late 6th and early 5th century, founded the so-called Deistic school of philosopher. Xenophon, who has been attributed with the saying, everything is born from earth and everything returns to earth. Now, who is this trust me bro person? Said this. Xenophon really took that earth was the basis of all matter. He asserted that there are two basic elements, earth and water. He discussed water cycle from clouds, from moisture, drawn by the sea by the heat of the sun, long before Aristotle wrote about the natural. That is why you might expect from line to set solidarity part of element. Yet Earth wasn't the only common solid substance. Really, bro? In ancient world, in ancient China, philosophers believed there were five fundamental substances: water, fire, earth, wood, and metal. Now, who are these guys to add wood and metal? Let's see. The Wu Jing. These corresponds to the five cardinal directions of Chinese thought, not just earth, east, south, west, but also center. Earth occupies a central position, coming together of all elements. Chinese Dynasty around 135 BC says Earth has its place in the center, rich soil of heaven. Earth is what brings these five elements, four seasons all together. If they did not rely on Earth, center, they would all collapse. Chinese people were smart. Succession of substance is a central concept of alchemy, underpinning the idea that metals can be transmuted, that steel might gold. Metal, water, something like that. Right now, they do not believe in it. Fire people. All transformation operates according to the balance of the opposite cosmic forces of yin and yang. plays a similar role in love and by mixing and separation, evoked by Immocles and other Greeks again. Without making too much of the parallel, it's impossible not to be struck by the echoes here. The modern ideas of how physical world gets formed from basic substances and particles, interacting via force, particles, the atoms from all chemical elements, subatomic particles in a delicate balance of electrical attraction, repulsion. Um, Earth is a sphere and rich. How do I can't move my? Okay, so the same quote as before. Earth has this place in the center and it's a rich soil of heaven. Earth is what brings these five elements and four seasons together. They did not rely on Earth as a collapse. And this is the Chinese Tang Dynasty idea that Earth, so far, this is we have learned. We have learned X, box, periodic table that I did not study, Pluto's ideas of the four elements, water, air, detailed by other historic analysis and experiments, like watering a herb, see if water, the substance that brings primordial life, air, as in testing if it's an element, fire, as in light and heat, earth, as in is the main center around all of the primordial. So this is, now I need to make an arrow. How do I make an arrow? Arrow. I love this part. Do not need green arrow. We do not need to move that. Where did my arrow go? All right, let me just quickly box this in. Okay, let me like a Pythagoras theorem. Now we go bottom chapter. Everyone's favorite, In Search of the Atom. I love Atom. What the hell is that jump scare? Ah, right, break. Just like the worst spelling in my life. Melody at 4. Wait, if anyone hears this. I'm back now, but my break 5 more minutes and my mind me. I'm just page 30 will reach chapter 2. And we're back. Time to log back in. But before civilization, I need knowledge. Okay, bro, you don't need to jump scare me. Just start the damn time. Now let me search of atom. What can about unspittable? Atom means unspittable, but we do know atoms can be spittable as well as merged. Pull matter apart beyond the levels of atom and yet Luciferus of Miletus, the 5th century BC, did come to that conclusion, or at least so we are told. What little we about him from the accounts of others, and it's not completely where he was. Know more about the philosopher Democritus, who believed to have come up with the word atomus. Muscleve, oh my god, to describe these invisible rings. Atomistic theories have been an attempt to reconcile the view of elitists that permanence sits in the heart of matter with that one could see. However, if all stuff is composed of atoms, what sits between empty space, a void? Oh wow. So we have Aristotle, everyone's favorite Greek philosopher, thought that atoms were three-dimensional objects of polyhedra that can be from really regular polygons, flat shapes in which all size angles are equal. Because he believed the creator created this world using mathematical harmony and perfection. Solid stable Earth is made by packing together cube-shaped particles. Polyhedra, with the fewer faces of Teratrodrome, is the most mobile and therefore united. Most impressive wrong they were is that they attempted to explain why the stuff of the world believe the way it does based on a theory of what they are made at the scales we can't see. Plato made, my god, it was not Aristotle. Plato. My bad, original gangster. Some reason the stream is broken. Wait, I'm trying to fix why the window is not streaming anymore. Life finally fixed this whatever broken mess this was. Anyways, what was I doing again? I forgot. Oh yeah, atoms. Anyways, there isn't really much interesting. It's just a theory that Democritus and Plato had about atoms. One thought of them as geometric entities, and the other thought of them as unsplittable things that comprise everything in the world. It cannot be infinitely divisible. How to edit this message? This the view. We have wind, fire, sun, fish, earth, trouble, fish. I have no idea what this is for. Let me actually read it. Still, it has no description. But the next chapter is called Ether. Now, I don't know what ether is, but it sounds cool. Is it ether? Probably. What about the fifth platonic solid? The most perfect and symmetrical shapes that the god creates themselves. So is most suitable stuff on the eternal perfect heavens. Aristotle adopted this idea and gave it the name of the fifth element, or quintessence, which he also called ether. The four classical elements have innate predispositions to move in a certain direction. Fire and air go up, water and earth go down. Ether did neither, being perfectly and outside the earth realm, and reflected behavior of the heaven bodies. Well, he believed it was the center, so we must trust him. The fundamental divide between earth and heaven. Galileo's telescope disproved that the moon was a perfect square, I mean sphere, for a rugged word of ours. They regarded the heavens not as a perfect, remote, inaccessible realm, but just another part of the cosmos, unlike a distant continent across the sea, where one day we might voyage. Meanwhile, the idea of ether as a kind of very noxious gas-like substance led to it becoming a term used in chemistry to refer to as class of volatile and pungent, which we know to be made of carbon-based molecules. The most common ether made from alcohol was used in the 19th century as an anesthetic that was quite a demotion for Aristotle's fifth essay. Isaac Newton suggested in early 18th century that substance like this might carry the force of gravity in bodies. The 19th century physicists thought that such a fluid which couldn't be seen or directly detected carried light waves, just as sound waves. The vibration in the air. They call it luminiferous, light-bearing ether. It was almost an unquestionable belief. The attempts to detect this ether in 1880 were looking for expected differences in speed of light parallel to the perpendicular of the motion of the earth swept through the putative sea. Failed to show any signs of it. But our goat Albert Einstein showed that the same mathematics could be used to describe how light travels through space without needing to invoke this light bearing at all. The legacy of Aristotle's fifth element had finally come. So, in truth, ether was what was ether actually? So, as such, is nothing but a false concept, false concept of history. Search of atoms, they found ether, which was connected to heaven mythology, which was disproven by Albert Einstein and which cannot be proven by mathematics. It's proven and was abandoned, known as the Luminiferous ether theory. Ether theory was largely replaced by modern physics or required a medium for propagation or of light or gravitation, which brings us to chapter 2, antique metals. Now we're in the 5000 BC and 100 ED, 800 AD era. As will be additional names for early human history: Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, are reminders of transforming material. Bronze Age and the Iron Age are named after metals, specifically metals that, to the available in quantity sufficient to change culture, needed to be obtained by means of chemical technology. Bronze and iron were melted from ore. They are exemplified the on realization that metals that exist in the world are not limited to natural. Notion of transformation, of taking a piece of gold and altering it. But the production of metal was the change of a different order, prompting humans to wonder what might be possible from the recombination, which was then typically achieved by the agency of fire. Back then, matter constituted by readily observable properties such as weight, color, and hardness. Go on. What spelling mistake must have I done? Did I do? I forgot the A. There was some kind of UR metal, which was gold, silver, iron, for different manifestations, any one of which might be formed one other. Metallurgy, the theoretical discipline, was a practical craft. Science is trial and error, how you produce spectacular results. How we can measure its hue to make it higher quality. But often the craftspeople, not the ideasmiths, who drove these technological technologies forward. How innocent, how happy. Nay, more. How even luxurious would life be if our desire did not go deeper than the surface of the earth and were satisfied in a world with what is within our reach? We wish that gold and silver could be driven utterly from our lives. The Greek legend King Midas once where an excessive craving for gold is a liable to lead. Seeing how mining and manufacturing have despoiled the environment and how a lust for gold and silver has led to exploitation and enslavement of whole cultures, we can't perhaps help feeling some sympathy for plenty's transform safer from disease and natural. The ability to control element is a mixture of a blessing, with pros and cons reflected on the struggles and craving and desire for wisdom and antiquity was step. It seems the book is finally sharing first components we are going to be analyzing, which are copper, silver, and gold. Copper is Cu in group 11 with an atomic number of 29. Wait, what? It isn't it just right here, bro? Yeah, copper, silver, and gold. Copper, silver, and gold. Let me just copy this real quick. Even if it's a little blurry, we can shrink it. 29, silver, AG7, and gold, AU79. Now, how does these elements help humankind more than any other? I don't know. We just have to make it the golden color to have a focus on it. Yellow, Gothic, or the Copper Age. We have heard of bronze and but copper. The Neolithics, with the advent of bronze and alloy of copper and tin, it stretches from around 4500 to 2000 BC, during which time there was a widespread evidence of copper metallurgy in the Middle and Near East and Europe. The use of copper goes back even further. See, we need some reference. What is this limestone like ore known as copper? So we have this copper. People didn't know how to extract copper from it, not even how to smelt it and work with metal. The metal can be crystallized from hot underground fluid rich in dissolved copper salts called hy- hydrothermal fluid. What does crystallize mean? Okay, basically make crystals. Can be crystallized from hot underground fluid dissolved in copper salt. The richest copper deposits were in the richest deposits of copper were in Queen Peninsula or modern day Michigan, which was mined by Americans for thousands of years. Conventional date for start of Bronze Age. Bronze started from the age of 3000 to 1500 BC. Time and place. Vulcan metallurgists even seem to have controlled the proportion of metals. Copper was the first useful metal because can be helped to create bronze. That is a life-changing thing. Bronze was used to making everyday items such as knives, lasers, and cutlery. Chisel, rasp, and sledgehammers first appeared in bronze. Ornaments and jewelry too. A lot of copper mined and smelted was used for coinage or currency, where it typically supplied in the lowest currency denomination, but it has, of course, always been relegated to a third place among the classic coinage metals, beneath silver and gold. Coinage, in terms of these types of coins, back, yes, they weren't perfect. They were used in terms of monetary value. Resistance to corrosion is rather uneven metals. For copper, silver properties same course. All three occupy the same group in the periodic table, and their atoms share an arrangement of electrons that make them especially stable, slow to react with other compounds, such as those in air and moisture. Oh, this unreactive character explains why both silver and gold also be found in their native. There were mining of gold in Armenia and India from 4 5000 BC. Natural gold, not pure, but is typically an alloy with small amounts of silver. Silver content is more than 20%. Metal looks more silvery than golden. The Greeks called this white gold or electron, which became electrum in Latin. Gold and silver had a quite the lure in 561 to 500 is the electrum coin and with Lydia for about a century with the ones of pure gold and silver. The Armenian gold factory, creating gold from nothing. Alluvial gold was common in natural waters of India. Gold mining was an important activity in there were more than 100 Egyptian mines in Nubian deserts. The very name of Nubia means land of gold. Operating around from 2000 BC and worked by slaves, precious metals adorned and looked as bright as ever when the artifacts were recovered from their tomb. In Spain, which had been worked since around 1000 BC by Phoenician settlers, were also the copper and silver. While silver does not have gold's catch it also impelled a great deal of industrial mining activity, purely to access depository statues. Galnia seems also a silver vein. Silver and lead were smelted together as an alloy from Galnia and were separated in the process of cupellation, which was introduced around 1000 BC. This involves melting the alloy in a clay crucible and blowing air over it to remove the lead. Through its reaction with oxygen, leaving a shining button of silver, cupellation was later used to purities, including from gold and silver. The lust for gold has driven both scientific progress and world history. To the New World, gold has historically never been very useful until modern times. Much of the same might be said of silver. They are rare examples of elements long valued and enjoyed for the aesthetic appeal, your material itself. As such, chapter is thinly. I think I don't want to study the break. Break is coming soon. If break is in 9 minutes, so I think I'm just gonna end the stream. Study more on my own later. So, to my zero viewers, it is me, it is I who finally take a break, study about this topic.